These two coolers are incredible, and there's some serious performance in these new dual tower coolers. Welcome to Machines and More. Well, it's a new day and a new dual tower, actually two to be exact, in the Dark Rock Pro family from Be Quiet. The Dark Rock Pro 4 was already an excellent large dual tower in Be Quiet's portfolio, and we've tested that before extensively in various builds on this channel, but today that might not really matter anymore because I don't think you're going to consider that one after seeing these. And a big thanks to Be Quiet for providing the coolers for the testing and this review. This review is independent though, and I'm not paid by Be Quiet for this review, so you can expect a fair and balanced review. So first off, there's two models. One is the Dark Rock Pro 5, and you can think of this as the new and improved Dark Rock Pro 4. And then there's this guy over here, which is the Dark Rock Elite, and this is a slightly amped up version of this cooler. The heatsink, and I just check out the middle fan. It's got 7 dual loop heat pipes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Still got a nickel plated copper base plate. Fairly generous cutout on the VRM heatsink side of your motherboard, about 40 millimeters from the base plate. We have a 135 millimeter fan that goes in the middle. This is the one from the Dark Rock Pro 5. But now this one is slightly different from the Dark Rock Pro 4 because it's integrated into the top cover, this top shroud. It'll sit in the catches on the heatsink, and then the heatsink cover magnetically clicks into place over that. Underneath this is a toggle. This is present on both the Elite and also the Dark Rock Pro 5. You can toggle between this quiet or performance mode, which this can be useful, but I think most users will probably be best just leaving it on P, performance full speed, and then you just set the appropriate fan curves for your system. But it's there if that's how you want to use your cooler. On their marketing materials, they are calling these just their Silent Wings fans, but I am 100% positive these are just a variant of the Silent Wings 4, and that's going to be available in either 140 and 120 millimeter versions as a standalone fan. The 120 millimeter version, this is definitely a Silent Wings 4, because you can see, just pull out the Silent Wings Pro 4 here. It does have a max RPM of 2000 RPM, which isn't a standard variant in the current standalone Silent Wings 4 fan lineup. But yeah, it's basically the same fan with a different RPM setting. The 135 millimeter fan looks very similar to the Silent Wings 4 140 millimeter. This one has a top speed of 1700 RPM on the Dark Rock Pro 5. It is slower than the same fan on the Dark Rock Elite, presumably the lower speed of this one. It's to sync up airflow properly with the smaller 120 millimeter fan and avoid turbulence, which, as you'll see shortly, the Dark Rock Elite doesn't have to worry about, since they both use the same fan on the middle and the RAM side. Now, the entire Silent Wings 4 lineup is very impressive. The 140 millimeter is what I would consider to be the best 140 millimeter fan now, and the 120 millimeter versions are definitely within the top 4 out there for regular thickness fans. I think the change to the fans are likely the biggest performance factor here. Your mounting, it's still pretty similar to other Be Quiet coolers. You got 2 points on the underside that just mates 2 mounting bars, compatible with LGA 11.5X, 1200, 1700, AM4, AM5. The RAM clearance is also pretty good. This VRM side cleared my ITX board without any issues. If you can clear an ITX board, which you probably won't be running with this, but it probably will clear anything, right? On the RAM side, the 120 millimeter fan, this one you can shift up and down if you need, and the position out of the box that's flush with the top of the heatsink cover, such that you're not adding any height to the existing clearance. You'll have about 45 millimeters to the base plate. So overall, compatibility should be pretty good with this unit. The entire unit, it is taller than the Dark Rock Pro 4, which measures in at around 163 millimeters. This one with its plastic heatsink cover is spec'd at 168, but I measured it in at 165 millimeters. Either way, make sure you have enough case, enough clearance for this, since it is a bit on the tall side for a cooler. So overall, there's a fair bit of improvement here with the cooler. Let's take a look at the Dark Rock Elite. The Dark Rock Elite is a new top-end product for Be Quiet. It takes that Dark Rock Pro 5 cooler instead of the 120mm fan. It's got the same, I guess, full-size 135mm fan on the RAM side, which rides up and down on a rail system. Now, it's a little bit tight. You know, it moves. It's kind of cool. And the advantage of that is even if you've got a ginormous RAM kit, you should be able to get it to fit. Of course, when you raise this fan, you're raising the clearance as well. In the flush position, you actually only have 32mm to the base plate. It can be cleared by low-profile RAM kit, like my Corsair kit, no problem. The mechanism is also a little bit different. So the top cover is integrated into the surround here. You got ARGB around the rectangle here, and the cable from the ARGB is integrated into the fan frame. It runs down here and exits where the fan cable would. The fan itself is not an RGB fan, but it just uses the fan frame to conceal that cable. And then this will split to your second fan, just like on the DRP5. So the way this installs is this unit comes down, clicks into place, and then this shroud, magnetically sits on it. Then you just connect your RGB cable if you want, connect the fan cable, and then this will daisy chain to this one. So pretty simple, very sleek. The side, of the cooler, it's got lots of nice finishing details, but pretty much you can see, it is the same heatsink as the Dark Rock Pro 5, just with different fans and different finishes. These should top out at 2000 RPM, although mine only got up to 1870, which is within the 10% spec variance typical to fans. Oh, and it also includes a really nice magnetic screwdriver as well. Okay, performance. These are seriously impressive. Quick notice, I didn't retest the Dark Rock Pro 4 since I didn't have much time with these before the embargo, and since the coolers I'll show you here are as good or flat out better than it, as you'll see, these will vanquish the competition, and that's not really relevant here. So first off, tested at a +1 decibel noise level, which is just a little bit more than audible. 5800X at 1.25 volts, an open case, since I did test in my NR200 test system where the cooler is obviously too tall. But it is beating out the 8 heat pipe MA824 from Cooler Master, and the Noctua D15, a longtime stalwart, is also behind here by a significant amount. For reference, the best 240mm AIO liquid coolers at equivalent noise levels would place roughly this as the same temps as the MA824, so I'd say this is slightly better than your really good 240. And the Elite's second 135mm fan does give a slight leg up as well over the DRP5. At +4 decibels, I didn't retest the D15 for this noise interval since its max speed is actually worse than all these anyway. Both coolers are still excellent here, very competitive. The MA824 at the previous level was already maxed out, so that falls off the comparison. At +5.5 decibels, so much better than the D15, which, that update is coming though. The Dark Rock Elite has even more headroom too. At 100%, it can cool even more. The Dark Rock Pro 5, it's getting maxed out here. It doesn't have a meaningful difference between 100% and the previous level, but if you look at the max speeds here, both coolers, they already have a huge amount of headroom to offer. So the Dark Rock Elite is a smidge better. The noise normalized gap was never over a degree, so I'd say the Dark Rock Pro 5, it feels like 99% of the performance of the Elite. Now, I usually don't pay too much mind to the spec TDP number, but they're speccing 270 watts for the Dark Rock Pro 5 and 280 for the Elite, so even based on what Be Quiet is saying, it's really close anyway. But both of these are seriously impressive, and at this point, this is going to be your best dual tower cooler combo here. Let's take a quick listen to the sound. The Silent Wings 4 have been pretty good, so there's really nothing to note, but just for your reference. Pricing, $115 US, 115 euros for the Elite, $100 for the Dark Rock Pro 5. So the Elite, it's going to be $5 less than the Chromax D15, so that's very competitive. And the DRP5, it's priced in line with the Cooler Master 824, which is about $100. So I know lots of you have been waiting for the new and improved Nocto D15, which everyone expects to be great as well. But even if the performance is better than this, which could well be, is that going to come in at a competitive price versus the pricing on the current D15 now? We'll have to wait and see. Ideally, these will be suited for your Intel i7 and i9, your Ryzen 7700X, 7900X, 7950X type of builds, and they'll pretty much be capable for any consumer CPU on the market now. When you consider that these are as good or better than the best 240 AIOs or a decent 280 for the price, and if you have the clearance, for me, there's not a huge reason to liquid cool. You got no tubes to wrangle, no rad to have to mount. These look super, super clean, dark, and as long as the fans work, they'll keep trucking along, which I can't say for a lot of liquid cooling solutions. I'd probably just go for the DRP5 since the performance, it's very, very similar. But if you want the best and perhaps you want the RGB, which I would set to dark personally, but every last bit of performance, you can, $15, it's not really that much difference, right? Just remember the RAM clearance, it is tighter on this one. And if you want to keep the standard cooler height, you're not going to have as much room with the Elite. So all around, great new product from Be Quiet, definitely recommended. I'll be doing an SFF build with one of these, most likely the DRP5 because the RAM clearance here, so stay tuned for that. Please give a like if you enjoyed it. Make sure you are subscribed. I will leave links down below as they are available. Thanks for watching today. This rail system is really cool.